And the king will answer them, "Truly I tell you, just as you did it to one of the least of these who are members of my family, you did it to me." Then he will answer them, "Truly I tell you, just as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me." The Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, verses 40 and 45. I graduated from high school with a girl, and I can't remember her name. Normally, I'd look her up in my yearbook, but she's not in there. She transferred into our school the last semester of our senior year, the spring of 1985. That was too late to make it into the yearbook, past its deadline. But I can't remember her name. I remember what she looked like. She had blonde hair, stood about 5'4", and wore a rat tail and a jean jacket. She had sort of a Chrissy Hind thing happening, but I didn't know that then. She was only in one of my classes, psychology. Coach Jones taught the class, and the first day she came into the class, the coach made her stand up and introduce herself to us. The first thing she told us was her name. I remember her doing that, but I can't remember her name. She probably told us where she moved from, but I don't remember that either. I don't remember those things because the next thing she said made me forget everything else. She then calmly and coolly announced to the whole class, school, and world as far as I thought, that she was a lesbian. Let me provide some context. It was the spring of 1985. It was in South Carolina. Reagan was in office, and I don't think he had even said the word AIDS in public yet. As a Baptist, even an open-minded one for a Baptist, I had never known a real person that was gay. Or so I thought. At least I had never known a gay person that was brave enough to admit it in public. To me, a gay person was kind of like a unicorn or Bigfoot. We had heard of them, but no one had ever actually met or seen one, or so we thought. It was as if a flying saucer had landed, and she had stepped out of the flying saucer. And yet here she was, in front of the class of slack-jawed 18-year-olds, and she was fearless. And I can't remember her name, because this year would be my 35th high school reunion at T.L. Hanna High, but it probably won't be held due to the COVID-19 crisis, and if it is, I won't be going. I don't know if she would be there. Heck, I don't even know her name. I do remember that she did not move in any of my circles, nor did I know if she ever found a circle. She came real late in the year. I do remember our graduation practice, though. Graduation practice is probably pretty much the same now as it was then. The same everywhere, I imagine. A bunch of rowdy seniors ready to head into summer and kiss the school goodbye, and teachers just trying to hold them down long enough to hand out the diplomas before someone does something stupid. Practice is this drudgery of an exercise where every single senior rehearses the simplest possible act required of a human, which is to walk across a stage and be handed a thing and keep walking. It sounds simple, but there is nothing that teenagers can't complicate. Thus, there is graduation practice. Each time a person walked across the stage, all their friends yelled out their name, either cheering for her, if she was a girl, or razzing him with a nickname or something embarrassing if the name called was a boy. As a person rose to the top of the stairs, the hoots began. It was always really loud in the gym because the acoustics just echoed. Then I saw her on the stairs, the one whose name I can't remember, and I was scared for a bit, preparing myself for what was going to surely be an ugly moment. I just knew somebody was going to yell out a nasty slur like dyke or butch, or maybe just a bunch of people laughing at her. But I think what actually happened might have been worse. When they called her name, the name I can't remember, she began to walk across the makeshift stage built from risers. And nobody said a thing. Nobody made a single sound. The only sound in that gymnasium was the sound of her footsteps as she walked across the stage to get her fake diploma. No one cheered for her, and no one jeered at her. She was such an other that no one even knew what language to speak. When I think of the sound of loneliness, I hear her footsteps going across that stage. We all graduated just a few days later. I haven't seen her since. As I have prayerfully considered my sins and my regrets in my life, not caring for this person is one of them. I didn't care enough to even learn her name. Now, it's true that this was the Deep South, and I was just 18, and it was the 80s, and Reagan and Baptist and blah, blah, blah. But none of that seems to hold water for me now that I look back. I should have known better. I should have seen a person that God loves. I should have seen a person that Jesus went to the cross for. I should have seen a person made in the image of God, a sacred person worth befriending. Because that is what I believed. It's obvious that she didn't need empowering. She had empowered herself. But she had to be lonely. I regret not trying to be her friend. I regret not being a better follower of Jesus, and I regret that I couldn't be even 1/100th as brave as she was. She walked across that stage to the drumbeat of her own defiant steps while I stood silent, safe in the crowd. It dawned on me as I prayed for her. I know her name. I had always known her name. Her name was right there in front of me the entire time, and I hadn't seen it for 35 years. Having been blinded by my own ignorance and the systemic prejudice around me, I had not seen nor heard her name because I was not paying close enough attention. Not so much to her. When she told us her name in class that first day, I think all of us can be forgiven for blanking on that moment. It was like a bomb went off. No, not that moment. I had always known her name, but I hadn't caught it because I wasn't paying close enough attention. Now, 35 years later, I remembered her name because I am at last paying attention. Her name was Jesus.